Donald Trump is so desperate for the Jeffrey Epstein scandal to go away that he has reportedly been frantically calling up aides in the White House, telling them, quote, "I need something really big." Now, he hasn't been more specific than that, so, if you're one of those people with a mind like that, you may take that the wrong way. But according to author Michael Wolff, who happens to be Trump's most hated author, the something big means a distraction from the Epstein scandal. Let me read you this. This is what Michael Wolff told the Daily Beast podcast this week. Let me go back about a week or so, or 10 days, when Trump started to say to everyone who would listen, and everyone listens to Donald Trump, to staffers and on the phone calls, the relentless phone calls that he's constantly making, he said, quote, "I need a big thing. I need a big thing." What's the big thing? And everyone understood that this was code for, "I need a distraction from Epstein." What's the thing that will move us beyond that? And then Wolff went on and talked about some other ideas Trump had. Trump considered turning New York City mayoral candidate Zohran Mamdani into a MAGA villain and reportedly called his chief rival, Andrew Cuomo, to discuss the plan, but Wolff said that option didn't get that traction. So he next moved on to deploying soldiers and federal law enforcement in Washington, D.C., before landing on something else to distract his base. Wolff then said, "That is what he got to. I'm going to have to do Ukraine. He's going to sacrifice Ukraine for Epstein." Essentially, this is, in his mind, a trade. It is the MAGA people who have pressed this Epstein issue constantly. I mean, they're the threat. And they also do not like the U.S. sending money and weapons and aid of any kind to Ukraine. They want this isolationist policy. So I'm not going to give you Epstein, but I'll pull out of Ukraine. Now, Michael Wolff, according to Donald Trump, lies all the damn time, right? Everything he says is false, 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 false. So it's Michael Wolff's word that he has, in fact, talked to these sources inside the White House versus Donald Trump, who says Wolff is a liar. So you can make up your own mind about which side you want to believe, but for me personally, I'm going to choose to believe Michael Wolff over Donald Trump. And I do think, by the way, that this is something that Donald Trump would do. After all, he has suggested this week that Ukraine does need to give up some of their country and just give it to Russia, which is what started this whole thing to begin with. So basically, Trump is telling Ukraine, go ahead and surrender. And he's meeting with Putin tomorrow in Alaska, not in Russia, as Trump had claimed. And who knows what's going to happen? I mean, Putin has a way of manipulating Donald Trump that others could only dream of. I mean, look, everybody manipulates Donald Trump, but nobody does it the way that Putin does. And Trump will likely give him whatever he wants. And I think what Putin wants right now is for the U.S. to just back away entirely. Mind your own business. Turn your head and walk away. And Trump actually may do it. And here's why I think he may do it. Not just to appease MAGA, which they would be appeased and maybe they'll forget about Epstein, but I think the way Donald Trump will do it is by saying, look, I talked to Putin. The guy's not movable. He's not going to stop ever, no matter what we say. So we have decided we're not going to be involved in this anymore. Ukraine, you're on your own. This guy's a madman, and I'm not just going to keep, wasting money and weapons and time and whatnot, because he's just never going to stop and it'll never go away. That's what he'll do. I firmly believe that. You can quote me right here. What is today? August 14th, 2025. That's how Trump will frame it. Mark my words. One last thing before I sign off. The Department of Justice recently sued 3 of the largest Medicare brokers and carriers for allegedly deceiving customers, claiming to be unbiased while pushing people into plans that didn't actually cover their needs, all to make a few extra bucks. Between Medicare scams, shady agents, and bloated insurance companies, it's too easy to get stuck in a plan that's overpriced or just plain wrong for you. I've partnered with Chapter because they're honest and genuinely here to help. I trust them enough that I told my own mom to call them up. They're the only advisors that compare every Medicare plan nationwide. They tailor their recommendations to you so you get the right coverage that fits your needs and saves you the most money. Chapter saves people thousands of dollars, and their support is totally free. There's also no obligation to sign up for anything. So if you're turning 65 soon or are already on Medicare, call the number on the screen to make sure your Medicare works for you. You won't regret it. Most people just wish they'd called sooner.